Today we're going to do workbook pages 44 and 45. Our goal for today is to see how tracing the development of a central idea and details in a text can help us build deeper understanding. So we talked briefly about this in class, but we're going to begin talking about Malala Yousafzai and her amazing journey. So first, let's get started by doing our vocab words. So again, remember, I'll give you kind of the meaning. You'll have to come up with your own sentence. So our first word is announce. Announce means to share information. So your first blank is going to be information. With other people. It says, what types of things does your principal typically announce at the beginning of the day? At the beginning of the day, the principal typically, and you're going to want to use your vocab words, so announces. And it might not be the principal in our school, it's going to be the secretaries, but what do they announce? Things like blank and blank. So they could announce like sports information. They can announce important details, the lunch menu, just different things. So go ahead and pick 2 things and write it down. If you need more time, pause the video. We're now going to move on to appear. Meaning of appear is to be seen or start to exist. It says, what objects appear in the sky at night? Some objects that, use your vocab word, so it'd be appear, in the night sky may include blank and the planet blank. Okay, so go ahead and fill that out. If you need more time, please go ahead and pause the video. We're now going to start on the story of Malala Yousafzai. Follow along. When I pause, fill in the word as we read. We're going to start right at the top under the picture. Malala Yousafzai of Pakistan won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2014 for her work on behalf of children's rights, especially girls' rights to an education. She was just 17 years old. Malala is the youngest person ever to win the prize. July 12, 1997. Malala Yousafzai is born in Mangora, a city in Pakistan's Swat. Her parents belong to the Pashtun ethnic group. They named their daughter after a warrior woman who was an Afghani folk. Malala of Maiwand. Malala's father records her name in the family register. In male-dominated Pakistan, this is highly unusual. June to July 2018. The Taliban, a very strict political in Pakistan, takes control of the Swat Valley. Taliban leaders do not believe in education for girls. They destroy several girls. Malala's father, Zaidin Yousafzai, runs her school. He knows that the Taliban could close it at any... Okay, we're on the next page. January 3rd, 2009. A Taliban leader has that all Swat Valley girls' schools will close on January 15, 2009. The British Broadcasting Corporation, BBC, contacts Malala's. They're looking for a girl to blog about life under the Taliban. With her father's support, Malala has already spoken publicly about the threat to her to an education and her anger about this. She agrees to write the blog. Her first post on BBC website on January 3rd, 2009. Malala later receives death threats from the Taliban. October 9th, 2012. Malala is riding home from school when 2 men stop one of them has a gun. He asks which is Malala and then fires 4 shots, injuring 3 girls. One of the girls is Malala. She is shot in the head and nearly dies. She is to a hospital in the city of Peshawar and then flown to Birmingham, England for more treatment. News of the attack causes shock and outrage. While Malala recovers in the hospital, a group of people and organizations from around the world launched the Malala Fund. Their primary of this fund is to promote girls' education. July 12, 2013 to October 14, 2014. On her 16th birthday, Malala travels to the United Nations headquarters in New York City. She gives in support of education for all children. It is her first public speech since the shooting. In September of 2013, she is awarded the International Children's Peace. A year later, on October 14, 2014, Malala is awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for her work on behalf of children's rights, especially girls' right to an education. She is the youngest Nobel Prize in history. Okay, so what right has Malala fought for? So what was she fighting for? Malala has fought for girls' rights to an education. I'll cut off my N. It won't let me write over on the page. Let me zoom in. It says, what is the central idea of this timeline? Highlight 3 details that support your idea. All right, so there's lots of things throughout this text. So the main thing that we're going to talk about is what are 3 things that they talk about. So we know that if we start at the timeline and start at January 3rd, 2009, we know that she has spoken publicly about her threat, and she speaks before for BBC. So she has spoken publicly about the threat to her right to her education. She agrees to post for BBC. Okay, that's the first thing. What happens after she does that? Remember, then it goes here, and she is shot in the head and nearly dies. Then from there, what happens? Right here, she travels to the United Nations in New York City and gives a speech in support for education of all children. Okay, you could put a couple different things. You could also talk about her getting the Nobel Peace Prize. That would work as well. And what is the whole text mainly about? What are we talking about? Other than Malala and her getting shot, what is the text talking about? Okay, we're talking about Malala and her fight for girls' rights to an education. So this talks about like her fight and everything she was doing in order to fight to stand up against the Taliban so that girls can receive an education. Malala's father influenced her fight for girls' education rights. Do you agree or disagree with this statement? Support your opinion with evidence. So you're going to say I agree or I disagree because and why. Okay, so react and write. So her father influenced her fight for girls' education. Do you agree or disagree with this statement? Support your opinion with evidence. So when it says support with evidence, you must get evidence from the text. Okay, so for example, if I say I agree with this statement because, and then if I go back to the text, it says right here that her father runs her school. So that would show that he supports her education because he's the one running the school. Okay, so you could put that. If you put you disagree, you must then find something in the text to support that. Okay, go ahead and fill that out, finish it, submit it to me when you are done. Reach out to me if you have any questions. Feel free to rewind the video if you need to go back to anything.